Last time on EK Wrestling, would Sami want to keep it Uzi, my dog? That might even be more interesting than seeing how Jey is gonna come back.
Sami Zayn said what the four of us once had was special.
Meh. Hey, boy. Good afternoon, world, and all who inhabit it. My name is Brandon. Cheers and thank you to all the veterans out there. We're coming in hot and fresh off of one of the most eventful episodes of SmackDown all year. A show that frankly delivered all across the board. From the introduction of the all-new Women's United States Championship, the story with Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and Cody Rhodes taking a dark turn, things finally heating up and feeling alive in the men's tag team division, to the gauntlet being thrown down for War Games. There was a lot to love on Friday night. And I know this isn't gonna win me over any aura points with the Bloodline stands, but didn't the OG Bloodline reunion feel rushed to you? I feel like we skipped at least a week of TV between the opening and closing segments of the show. You're telling me it only took less than 2 weeks for Sami Zayn to forgive Roman Reigns? How does that make sense for his character? Has Sami forgotten why he hit Roman with the chair in the first place? I thought Roman was a psycho, you manipulator, who constantly gaslit him and questioned his worth and loyalty. The same man that forced Sami to choose between the Bloodline and his best friend, while he viciously beat his friend to a pulp in front of him, humiliated him in defeat in his hometown, in his home country, right in front of his wife. Is Sami really willing to let bygones be bygones, all because he's nostalgic for the good old days? As if that wasn't just 2 years ago. He just got the courage to leave. It's especially disappointing because they handled Jey's reconciliation with Roman a lot better. It took a whole month before we got Roman and the Usos to throw up the ones together, with Jimmy playing the middleman, trying to convince Roman that they needed Jey, apologizing and coming to Jey like a man for help. Roman even meeting Jey halfway to tell him that he was proud of him. Jey outright refusing at first, wanting to stay out of it, then doubling back to appeal to Solo for peace. Then by losing the IC Championship, the symbol of all that he worked so hard to achieve on his own, he had no choice but to get back involved in family business, knowing he could no longer run away from the fight that he was so desperate to get away from. Even though it already made a lot of sense for Jey to go back because it is his family, they still gave his character enough time to have a clear, defined, understandable motivation to come back home. You can't say the same for Sami. As far as I'm concerned, his motivations are undercooked. Why would Sami go out of his way to mend fences with Roman, considering he's not blood related and thus not obligated to get involved? And furthermore, he's got a lot more to lose because he's likely gonna face repercussions because of this decision. For the guy who was arguably responsible for the peak cinema of this Bloodline saga, I was expecting his character to get a lot more love, attention, and care. That's all. Yes, I think we all knew that this was the direction that they were going to for Survivor Series. That's not the point. This just wasn't how I really envisioned everything playing out. It just all happened so quickly.
That's what she said.
A great poet once said, "Hate to sound sleazy, but tease me. I don't want it if it's that easy." The Bloodline saga made its name off of its commitment to long-term storytelling. The meticulous attention to details, not forgetting the little things, making us hang on to every segment that built to these amazing, iconic moments. They even took their sweet time dragging out Solo's ascension all throughout the summer. What's the hurry now? Why you trying to speed run the good shit? Like, hold up, baby, don't go so fast. I want to cherish this moment. I know some of y'all are gonna be like, well, how is a 4-year story rushed? But riddle me this. Does Avengers Endgame hit the same if you missed Infinity War? Let's say you watched the end of Return of the Jedi without watching Empire Strikes Back. Does that work? Or what if you started watching Naruto during the Chunin exams and then skipped all the way to the 4th Great Ninja War? Let's talk about it.
Oh, my brother, testify!
You ain't gotta say amen. Reverend Brother Devon already said it for me. The ends do not justify the means in storytelling. You gotta let things cook properly and take us along the entire journey. Everything matters. That is, if you want to tell a great story. You ain't doing your narrative any favors by fast forwarding in 2x speed. And before y'all come for me, this is the same exact thing that everybody criticizes AEW for. Glossing over all the details and microwaving everything fast to get to the matches, story be damned. Am I still excited to see the OG Bloodline come together? Of course I am. Am I hyped for War Games? You damn skippy. Are we still so back? Let me get a But I just don't want them to lose what made this all so special in the first place. This is an easy layup. The story writes itself. You just can't skip any chapters. But alas, there's still some time left before War Games. Roman still hasn't apologized yet, and there's still some unresolved tension that needs to be addressed. You saw how Jey didn't want to tag in Roman at Crown Jewel. The new Bloodline is just much more of a cohesive unit than the OGs are right now.
I love you, Solo!
Over the next few weeks, I'm sure we'll see Solo try to exploit that fact and try to poke holes within Roman's team. We may not have an official match graphic, Aldis hasn't put the pen to the paper yet, but we know this match is gonna happen. Yet even so, there's still a question that I see remaining amongst a lot of fans out there, and that is, who's gonna be the fifth man? Solo directly teased this on SmackDown by challenging Roman to find 4 other guys to face them at Survivor Series. While I do think that Solo was playing mind games with Roman to try to make him believe that Sami was indeed gonna join the new Bloodline, there is a precedent that's been established on the main roster with having these War Games matches as 5v5 contests. Well, mostly. 3 out of the 4 matches have been 5v5, except for last year's Women's War Games match. However, had Dakota not been injured, I'm pretty sure it would have been 5v5 as well. So with that being said, let's say they're gonna try to keep tradition and go 5v5 for this year too. I remember seeing a lot of fan-made Bloodline Civil War posters at the beginning of the year. I saw some with Hikuleo, Zilla Fatu, even The Rock. But I don't find any of that to be realistic in all honesty. It was already a struggle getting buy-in from the audience by introducing this whole new Bloodline this summer. You think they're gonna rush to debut a completely new character just to have them in this match? I think you'd run the risk of jumping the shark at that point, and then all the comparisons to the NWO would be unavoidable. I'm not saying that Hikuleo or Lance Anoa'i, who just got signed, won't ever make TV at some point in the future, but now just isn't the right time. Zilla is still on the indies, and you know that Rock isn't gonna wrestle anywhere else than Mania, let alone a brutal match like this. So with the time you have left, it would probably make more sense to look outside the Bloodline for a 5th member. Like I said before, there's gonna be hell to pay for Sami joining up with Roman. Look at what Kevin Owens just did to Randy Orton. That pile driver was lethal. He put the Viper on the shelf for an undisclosed amount of time. Unless the plan for Survivor Series is to run Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes back for the title, then I can definitely see Solo trying to recruit Owens for his team. KO is notorious for being the character that actually watches the product, so he knows exactly what Sami's been doing. He just hasn't had a chance to strike yet. And if Kevin Owens is gonna make a deal/temporary alliance with the Bad Bloodline, you know Cody Rhodes won't hesitate to team up with the OG Bloodline. I know Cody has said that he's ready to move on from the Bloodline, but it wouldn't be about the Bloodline this time. It would be about getting his hands on Kevin Owens so he can get some revenge for his mentor Randy Orton. It's not inconceivable. He's been tight with Sami and Jey, and he's already done the unthinkable by teaming up with Roman at Bad Blood. So if you want to go that route of 5v5, this would be your answer. But if it were me, I don't think that you really need to add a 5th member to either team. This is about the Bloodline. Family business, OG versus new. The Bloodline Civil War is more than enough of a main event attraction in of itself. But otherwise, if they decide to go with the 5v5, it would give them a storyline reason to hold off on doing KO versus Cody 2 until Saturday night's main event. It's 2 weeks right after Survivor Series, and I could understand the creative challenges of trying to do 2 title matches for Cody back to back, but that's enough yapping from me. What did you all think about SmackDown? Are you still fully invested in the Bloodline saga? Are you feeling Uzi, my dog? Yeet or no yeet? However you feel, please don't be shy and let us all know in the comment section below. My Sami grievances aside, I think we're gonna be eating good for a while. This was still a strong week of WWE television. Thank you all for joining me for another episode of EK Wrestling. I love you all and I sincerely appreciate the support. Until next time, always remember that wrestling is not a love story. It's much more than that. It's hope. And in a world surrounded in hate, greed, and violence, a world where closure may never come, we all know a place that has hot and cold hope on tap, for better or for worse. Man, I say that every time, but after the week we just had, I feel like that all hit different. If you know, you know. Take care, guys.